Subscribe right now. Press bell for political carnage. Y'all, I am totally shook right now. What I just witnessed from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has me literally pacing around my room because this woman just exposed everything about Trump's Venezuela invasion. And honey, it ain't what they're telling us on the news. Press that like button right now because what I'm about to break down for you is going to change how you see this whole Venezuela situation forever. So, picture this. It is a Saturday morning. Most politicians are probably sleeping in or playing golf. But our girl Jasmine Crockett decides to hop on a live stream to check in with the people. And y'all, when I tell you she came with receipts, she came with receipts. This woman looked directly into that camera and stated what everyone else is too scared to say about Trump's real motivations in Venezuela. Before we dive into the tea she just spilled, hit that like button if you think politicians should tell us the truth about these military operations. Your engagement helps this video reach more people who need to hear what Jasmine actually stated. Now, let me set the scene for you because Jasmine didn't just give us political talking points. This woman gave us a constitutional law masterclass while calling out Trump's lies in the most direct way possible. She starts off by stating she is concerned about what happened, and then she drops this bomb that had me rewinding the video 3 times. Jasmine looked at that camera and stated, and I quote, "Oil, oil, oil." So for all the people that felt like they were voting for somebody who was looking out for them, I am just stating it is the oil people, y'all. She stated it with her whole chest. No sugarcoating, no political speak, just straight facts. Drop a comment below and tell me, did you know Trump's Venezuela invasion was really about oil? I read every single comment and I want to hear your reaction to this revelation. But here is where it gets even better, and why Jasmine's analysis is so powerful. This isn't just some random politician giving opinions. Y'all need to understand who we're dealing with here. Jasmine Crockett is a former constitutional lawyer with 15 years of courtroom experience. She sits on 4 committees in Congress, which is basically unheard of. When this woman discusses about constitutional violations, she knows exactly what she is discussing about. And that is exactly what she did in this live stream. She broke down how Trump is violating the Constitution by launching military strikes without congressional approval. But the way she explained it had me taking notes like I am back in law school. Jasmine stated, and I am paraphrasing here, that when you allow one constitutional violation after another, even in different areas, it becomes this downward spiral that doesn't stop. She is literally watching Trump tear up the Constitution piece by piece. And she is warning us about where this leads. If you are learning something new about how our government is supposed to function, press that like button and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell because we're breaking down all the constitutional drama as it happens. But y'all, the most chilling part of Jasmine's analysis was when she connected this Venezuela invasion to Trump's 2026 election strategy. She stated she is very concerned that Trump may attempt to do everything he can to make sure we're at war so he can justify not having elections because we're at war. Let that sink in for a minute. This woman is literally predicting that Trump is starting wars to avoid facing voters in the midterms. And when you think about the timing, January 2026, right when election campaigns are starting to heat up, it makes perfect sense from a political strategy standpoint, even though it is totally terrifying from a constitutional perspective. Tell me in the comments, do you think Trump is starting wars to avoid losing power in 2026? Share your thoughts below. What makes Jasmine's breakdown so credible is that she is not just throwing around accusations. She is applying her actual legal training to government actions. She pointed out that Congress wasn't even briefed before these strikes happened. Y'all, that is a constitutional violation. The executive branch can't just start bombing other countries without telling the legislative branch. Jasmine serves on the Judiciary Committee, the Oversight Committee, the 6th of January Select Committee, and she is the ranking member on a declassification committee. This woman has access to information most people don't, and when she states Congress wasn't briefed, that means Trump's team deliberately kept this from the people, who are supposed to provide oversight. But here is what really had me applauding my screen. Jasmine called out the hypocrisy directly. She stated, and this is a direct quote, "I know a con when I observe one." She is discussing about Trump, y'all. A sitting congresswoman looked at a camera and called the president a con artist. Hit that like button if you think Jasmine Crockett is speaking truth to power. Your likes help this constitutional analysis reach more people. And then she really got into the details about what Trump is actually doing in Venezuela versus what he is telling the American people. Jasmine pointed out that Trump has been discussing about kicking Venezuelans out of the country using some 1700s law, while simultaneously claiming he is attempting to help the Venezuelan people. How does that math work? She literally stated, "So, I don't think that this is the guy that has really cared very much about Venezuelans because he is stating it is such a terrible place. But yeah, we ain't got no space for you." The cognitive dissonance is real, and Jasmine is calling it out. But the most damaging part of her analysis was when she explained Trump's real motivation. She discussed about remembering the headlines about Trump having oil. Executives at Mar-a-Lago for $1 million fundraisers. She connected those dots and stated it is clear that some people definitely made out better with their investments than others when Trump decided to invade Venezuela. Comment below and let me know. Are you surprised that this is really about oil money? Let's get a discussion going in the comments. What I love about Jasmine's approach is that she is not just criticizing from the outside. She is explaining what the proper process should have been. As someone who sits on multiple committees dealing with national security and oversight, she knows that Congress should have been involved in any decision to use military force against another country. She explained that there are Republicans like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie who are speaking out against these constitutional violations, which shows this isn't just partisan politics. When libertarian Republicans are agreeing with progressive Democrats that Trump has overstepped his constitutional authority, that is a pretty clear sign something is seriously wrong. Press that subscribe button and ring the notification bell if you want more constitutional analysis that cuts through political spin. We're covering all the ways politicians attempt to work around constitutional limitations, but here is where Jasmine's legal background really shines through. She didn't just say Trump is wrong, she explained exactly why it is wrong and what the consequences could be. She discussed about how allowing these constitutional violations sets precedents that make future violations easier to justify. As a former civil rights lawyer, Jasmine understands how important it is to maintain checks and balances in government when the executive branch can launch military operations without congressional oversight. That is how you end up with unchecked presidential power that looks a lot like a dictatorship. And that is exactly what Jasmine stated. She looked at that camera and announced, "We don't live in a dictatorship." But her tone made it clear that she is worried we're heading in that direction. If we don't start holding Trump accountable for these constitutional violations, share this video with someone who needs to understand what is really happening in Venezuela. The more people who know the truth about Trump's oil grab, the better we can hold our government accountable. What really struck me about Jasmine's analysis was how she connected this to broader patterns of Trump putting corporate interests ahead of American lives. She discussed about how this puts our service members at risk not to protect American interests, but to protect oil company investments. She stated she is very concerned about our service members who are being put in harm's way because of oil. And she emphasized that this is happening while Trump is cutting healthcare subsidies and other programs that actually help American families. It is backwards priorities at their worst. Tell me in the comments, do you think American soldiers should be risking their lives for oil company profits? I want to hear your take on this. The timing of this live stream is also significant. Because Jasmine is currently running for Senate in Texas, this woman could have played it safe, given some generic political responses and avoided controversy. Instead, she chose to use her platform to educate people about constitutional law and call out presidential overreach. That takes courage, especially when you are running statewide in Texas, where military action is often popular. But Jasmine isn't backing down from her principles, even when it might be politically risky. That is the kind of leadership we need more of in Washington. Hit that like button if you think we need more politicians like Jasmine Crockett, who will tell the truth regardless of political consequences. Your engagement helps this message reach more people. But here is what really has me convinced that Jasmine is right about the oil. Motivation. She pointed out that Trump has made it clear this is about oil, oil, oil. He is not even attempting to hide it. When questioned about Venezuela, Trump discusses about oil resources, not humanitarian concerns. And Jasmine connected this to Trump's history of putting corporate interests first. She reminded us about those Mar-a-Lago fundraisers with oil executives. And now we're witnessing the payoff. American military power being used to secure oil resources for the companies that funded Trump's campaign. The constitutional lawyer in Jasmine also pointed out that this kind of military action requires congressional authorization, especially when it is essentially a regime change operation disguised as counter-narcotics work. You can't just rebrand an invasion and pretend constitutional requirements don't apply. Comment below and tell me, should Congress have to approve military invasions of other countries? Let's get your voice heard in this constitutional debate. What makes Jasmine's criticism so powerful is that she is not just explaining what is wrong with Trump's approach. She is also explaining what should happen next. She discussed about the need for congressional hearings to examine the legal justification for these strikes and to demand oversight of military operations. As someone who serves on the Oversight Committee, Jasmine knows how to conduct investigations that get real answers. She wants to observe the administration's legal memos, their evidence of effectiveness, and their plan for congressional involvement going forward. But she also acknowledged the reality of the current political situation. With Republicans controlling the House, Senate, and White House, oversight is going to be limited until the 2026 midterms. That is why she is running for Senate to be part of the solution to this constitutional crisis. Subscribe and press that notification bell if you want more analysis of how politicians work around constitutional limitations. We're covering all the ways our democratic institutions get tested. The broader implications of what Jasmine revealed in this live stream are huge. If presidents can launch military invasions by calling them something else and bypassing congressional oversight, then the constitutional check on presidential war powers essentially disappears. Jasmine's legal training helps her recognize these dangerous precedents. Today, it is strikes in Venezuela without congressional approval. Tomorrow, it could be military action anywhere else a president decides to flex military muscle for corporate interests. That is why her analysis is so important. She's not just criticizing one military action. She's defending constitutional principles that protect all Americans from unchecked executive power, regardless of which party is in charge. Share this video to help more people understand what is really at stake with Trump's Venezuela oil grab. The more people who understand these constitutional issues, the better we can protect our democratic system. As this story continues to develop, keep your eyes on Jasmine Crockett. She is using her legal expertise and congressional platform to defend constitutional principles while most other politicians stay silent. Her willingness to speak truth to power, even when it is politically risky, is exactly what we need right now. Hit that like button if Jasmine Crockett is fighting for constitutional principles you care about. Your engagement helps this constitutional analysis reach the people who need to hear it most. Remember to subscribe and ring that notification bell because this constitutional showdown over Venezuela is just getting started, and we'll be covering every development as Jasmine and their constitutional lawyers fight back against Trump's overreach. What do you think about Jasmine's revelation that Trump's Venezuela invasion is really about oil? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I want to hear your take on this constitutional crisis and corporate power grab. And before you go, make sure to like this video if you think more politicians should have the courage to expose the truth like Jasmine Crockett did. This woman used her legal expertise and platform to educate us about constitutional violations while calling out Trump's lies in real time. That is the kind of fearless leadership our country needs right now. Also, if this analysis opened your eyes to what is really happening in Venezuela, please share this video with your friends and family. The mainstream media isn't going to tell you about Trump's oil connections or the constitutional violations happening right under our noses. It is up to us to spread the truth and hold our government accountable. Peace out, y'all, and stay informed. This is just the beginning of our fight for constitutional accountability and transparency. We're going to keep exposing the truth no matter how uncomfortable it makes the powerful. Democracy depends on informed citizens like you who demand better from our elected officials. Keep fighting the good fight. Stay strong and stay woke. Peace. Face.